You're ready, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Geek-Cetera. I'm your host, Wildjosh, and I'm joined with Superfriendly. Dark Eagle has gone on vacation this week, and thus I will be the one trying to fill his shoes as the guy who never agrees with Superfriendly. And this week's show is going to be packed with news and rumors from San Diego Comic-Con. I'm sure there's going to be some that we missed, but we're going to try to tackle as many as we can. So let's get right into it. We'll move into the past week, and we'll start with you, Superfriendly. What did you do this last week?
Thank you, Wildjosh. This past week, I watched Lego Batman. I really had been looking forward to seeing this movie, and I got to tell you, I was unimpressed. It was not worth the wait. It was funny, but it didn't hold my interest. I just didn't really care about what's going on with the Joker. It was just stupid. And I know it's a kid movie, but I wanted to see it.
I saw that, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I had a similar reaction to it. I really, really liked the Lego movie, the original one. But this Lego Batman, I thought there was some funny parts, but overall, I thought it was a letdown.
Yeah, same here. It's just not fun to watch, but that's okay. I'll get those 2 hours back somewhere. Wildjosh loaned me the audiobook for Ready Player One. You may have watched our video already breaking down that trailer, but love that book. Glad to listen to it again to get psyched for that movie release.
Yeah, I just got that audiobook, and I'm looking forward to listening to it again. I obviously read Ready Player One, but I'm going to be listening to it at work while I'm working, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I should also be listening to it when I'm at work, and that'll help me pass the time. That's going to be great. Lastly this week, I lost my muffin, and I'm not sure if everyone knows yet, but I regularly have muffins in the morning when I wake up. Just got to have something even before I have my morning coffee, and that's the first thing. I grab it, and I grabbed it, went to the back of our apartment, not very far. We don't have a huge apartment, and I wanted to work on some audio from our last podcast. I only had 2 bites off the top. I knew I did. But I started work, and I finished 45 minutes later, couldn't find my muffin. I looked everywhere, and I just couldn't find it. I was really upset. I was telling everyone, and kept telling the story over and over, and they were like, maybe you ate it. Well, I don't think I ate it. I did finally find it. It was at my workstation up on a shelf. I was absentmindedly, I guess I put it up there, and I feel really dumb now. So that's my week. That
was your story of the lost muffin.
Yep.
Did you eat the muffin after you found the muffin?
Actually, it's still there. I can see it. No, I didn't eat it.
Okay. So it's a green muffin at this point?
Yeah, or it will be.
Yeah. It'd be a good science experiment to see how long it would take to turn green.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll get to in our 10-year anniversary of our podcast. I'll share an update.
Yeah, you can take it down, and we'll each get a little slice of that muffin. Yeah, that'd be nice. All right. Well, no Luke this week, so I'll move into what I did. Besides trying to stay up to date with what was going on at San Diego Comic-Con, me and Superfriendly were able to record a video about the upcoming Ready Player One movie. I believe we called it Ready Player One Movie Trailer Breakdown and Theories. So you can find that on YouTube if that's something that interests you. We try to break down what we saw from the trailer and get into some ideas and theories that we had from what we were presented with in that trailer. Again, there's been so much stuff about that movie trailer, so we're really probably not the first to say any of it, but it's our take on it, and maybe there's something in there that we said that no one else said, but I'm not really sure. I haven't read or watched everything on YouTube about Ready Player One. It's possible that we're just reiterating what has already been said. Not that I'm trying to undersell what we did. I think what we did was pretty good for a bunch of amateurs, but that is there if you'd like to look at it. Also, this week, I didn't really have a ton of time because I've been working on other things. So I did play some Galaxy of Heroes, which I usually play a little bit every day. And then I played a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. As I said, I believe last week, I'm going through it again, trying to beat it again, and on a harder difficulty level, and still enjoying that game. And then I started listening to Brave New World, which is a book by Aldous Huxley. I've heard a lot of stuff about this book, people have said if you like sci-fi and you like dystopian society kind of stuff, you should read or listen to Brave New World. So I started that up, and I really haven't been a big fan of it. It's kind of slow and a little on the boring side. Maybe it's going to get better. Hopefully. I'm only maybe 2 hours in, and it's an 8-hour audiobook, but not super excited about it. So I might stop and go to something different like Ready Player One, but I haven't made that decision yet. I haven't quite decided that I'm going to cut ties with it. And then on TV, I had been watching Last Man on Earth. I got caught up on that. So now when the new episodes come out, I'll be right there with them. And I started watching Angie Tribeca, which is really in-your-face comedy. It's different than what I would normally like or watch. But I am enjoying it. It's kind of funny. There's some parts so far that have made me laugh out loud. And my wife seems to like it. So I'll probably stick with that for a little bit. But I'm also considering watching some Doctor Who, because everyone talks about Doctor Who. And I gave it a chance once years ago. I watched the first episode of the newer ones. It was about mannequins that were coming to life. I couldn't get into it. So, but everyone says you got to give it a little bit more time. I might try to do that. I'm considering it anyways. And we'll see how I like it. That's about it for me for this past week.
So I got a question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Because I am also caught up on Last Man on Earth. What do you think?
I think it's really funny. It makes me laugh a lot, but I would not recommend it. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Gosh, there were some episodes of The Office. Scott's Tots is one in particular that I can think of where it was so uncomfortable watching that episode because of the way Michael Scott behaved, reacted, or set himself up. And I love The Office. I mean, I got emotional for the series finale. But this guy, and I forget, Tandy. Tandy Miller. He does it to me every week. He makes me so uncomfortable. And I don't know. I guess we can go into spoilers. I'll give you a couple seconds or whatever. But there's one episode in season 2 where he wants forgiveness. And Carol has already gone into the group and explained everything away. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to give you a chance. And he's holding a gun to them. Now, he's holding this gun because he's afraid that they're going to tackle them. But at the same time, he's apologizing and calling people out for some really awesome things. But he's ruining it because he's holding a loaded gun to them. Or maybe it's not loaded. I don't remember if it was. But he does this stuff every week, and it's so painful to watch. But I kept watching, and you're right. There's not always awesome stuff. There's stuff you got to skip through. But the season 3 quasi-finale, the last couple episodes there, I was so ticked. I was done, ready to stop watching that show.
I know what you mean.
They jumped the shark.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I do, for some reason, even though there's times in the show I think I hate the show, it's stupid, it keeps me watching. It keeps me going to the next one and the next one and the next one. And it was only 3 seasons, I think, that were out right now. And I caught up pretty quickly. But there was some stuff in that show that just made me crack up. Tandy is a funny character. Like you said, it reminds me of Michael Scott. And I think we all have friends like that, where when they're talking, sometimes they make us uncomfortable and we're not sure what they're going to say or do. And that's what I picture. That's what I picture from Tandy. Like, he's that friend that you love him because he's lovable in some aspects, but you hate him because he says the stupidest things and he just always puts his foot in his mouth. And but I think it is a funny show.
Yeah.
With that being said, it made me laugh. I would not recommend it. That's what we had for this past week. We're going to move along. We're going to go into our fan theories for the week. I know that you have one. I have one that's a little outside the box of what we would normally talk about, but we didn't want to touch on anything too crazy because Luke isn't here this week, and Luke really loves to bash our theories. So we're going to hold off on some bigger things for next time, But what do you have for this week, Kyle?
It is sad Luke's not here to bash our theories. We love him, and he's a great person. Yeah. This is a Doctor Who theory. So for someone who's getting into Doctor Who, this is special.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just thought of something. The other day, I was watching TV, and I didn't know what to put on, and I was changing through the channels, and on BBC America, they were playing Doctor Who. And I'm like, okay, I'll give this a chance. I'll stop. And it was a Christmas episode. Do they do that often? Christmas episodes? Like every year, I'm guessing, maybe? They have a Christmas episode?
That's one of their big things. So the Christmas episode is where huge plot points happen.
Okay. So there was this Christmas episode, but I didn't really see the whole thing. So I don't really know what was going on. But there was a girl and the doctor, and then there was this other guy, and I think they froze the girl. Like she was like cryogenically frozen or something like that in these chambers. I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but it was interesting. And then there was this like grumpy old man that they were trying to help somehow not be so grumpy.
Do you know which doctor it was?
You know what? Google will know what doctor it was. Doctor Who doctors. Oh, here's a whole list of Doctor Who doctors. Okay. Matt Smith, Doctor 11. He has a bow tie. He was from 2010 to 2013.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking at Doctor Who Christmas episodes. Looks like there's one called The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe.
The girl kept going back to a time where she could see like family and looking in the window and watching the family. And then the doctor's like, why don't you go in? So then they did. I was confused as to why. It was confusing, but I also got in the middle and don't have really any background with Doctor Who. So but I really didn't mean to railroad your theory, but it hit me when we talked about Doctor Who.
It's okay. There's one called A Christmas Carol.
It could have been like that. It could have been A Christmas Carol because it kind of reminded me of that feel. Like they went back to that, like, I don't know, early 1900s.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what I'm guessing. It's number 3 on the list of top 12 Christmas episodes.
Oh. So it was a good one.
I don't remember that. That's cool. I'm glad you thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Yeah. It kept me watching, even though I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and you'll find that like you won't know really what's going on in a lot of them unless you're paying attention, and then stuff kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm. They do a lot of exposition. So this episode, my theory is around this episode, Blink, which has to do with my favorite enemy of the Doctor, the Weeping Angels.
Okay.
This episode follows.
That sounds a little creepy. Just so you know.
It does. It is very creepy. Some of the episodes that really pulled me into Doctor Who were on the creepy side. Mm-hmm. This is the episode that I show people when I want to introduce them to Doctor Who. Okay. And the Doctor is not the main character in this episode. It's actually this character named Sally Sparrow. Has to do with time travel, as many of them do. But yeah. So in this episode, the Weeping Angels, this enemy, you see them in their power. I don't really want to give away, but they have a power to transport people through time and space.
The Weeping Angels.
The Weeping Angels do. But they can never be seen. If they're being watched by anyone, if they can be seen by anyone, they're always going to appear as a statue with their hands over their eyes as if they're weeping. And the Doctor tells us this. But throughout the episode, you see points where the main character, the person that the angels are after, their backs are turned to the angels, but the angels aren't moving. My theory, it's very simple, is that we are involved. There's a fourth wall involved in that episode where if we can see the angels, they can't move. If the audience sees the angels, they're not moving. So when the camera pans away and it gives you that sense of impending doom and you know that person's gone, you sweep back, there's the angel, and the person's gone. So there's not a lot to it, but that's my thought. The audience is involved.
So I just, for my own interest, Googled Weeping Angel, and images is showing me all these crazy pictures of this scary angel. Some of them, the angel looks to be screaming with fangs. Is that from the episode? Or is that like, do we ever even see that? Or is that just someone's rendition of what the weeping angel might look like? Oh, you do see that. Okay. Interesting. I'll have to watch that episode to really fully understand what you're saying. And
I really don't want to give it away.
At least, and I'm sure all the Doctor Who fans that are listening, all two of you, they're probably going to know exactly what you're talking about. But I don't really. I don't understand. That's just because I haven't seen it. I don't know. I don't understand even what Doctor Who is.
I will say, they have the ability to transport in time and space. Mm-hmm. And for me, emotionally, that is one of the plot points in any narrative, any book, any movie, any TV show that always kind of hits me, makes me not nostalgic. I don't even know what the word is, but I feel melancholy whenever those things take place. So if we're watching Wayward Pines and the whole first season, you don't really know what's going on. Then you realize these people will never see their family again. They are 2,000 years in the future. They were pulled. They didn't get that choice. You're watching Intergalactic. What's the one with Interstellar? Interstellar. That always hits me. The Weeping Angels have a very similar power, and it just makes me really emotional. And that's one of the reasons I really love this episode set, is because it hits me in the feels.
Interesting. So you think if I watch Doctor Who episode blank that I'll get it, even though I haven't seen any of the other stuff?
I think it will grab your interest enough to say, I want more.
Okay.
There are like 3 or 4 episodes I know are grabbing, like that will pull you in.
All right. Very, very good. So the next theory I have is a different theory altogether. It's not, usually we talk about stuff that is sci-fi, fantasy, comic book related, something like that. And this is Titanic related. Leonardo DiCaprio, Titanic. And I guess this is an older theory. I only just heard about it, and it totally changed the movie for me. And I actually kind of like this theory, and it makes me like Titanic a little bit more.
A little bit more than not at all?
Yeah, I mean, did I hate Titanic? No, but I thought it was kind of a boring movie when I watched it. And I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember. When did Titanic come out? Probably in the late 90s or mid 90s, something like that?
4th grade. How old was I in 4th grade? 9? So yeah, like 96.
Okay. Yeah, so when I saw that, when I was, 12, 13, I was, kind of bored. But this theory is that Jack is actually a time traveler who went to the past to save Rose from committing suicide at the beginning so that it wouldn't alter the events and that the Titanic would still hit the iceberg and sink. At first, you hear that theory and you think that sounds kind of stupid. But there was some pretty good points, like that he just happened to be there at the right time when she was about to throw herself off the boat and stopped her from committing suicide. We never see him with money, like for that time period. He actually had to gamble to get himself onto the boat, which is interesting. So he didn't have currency to get onto the boat. And then people pointed out he didn't have a haircut that matched that time period. So Titanic sank in 1912, and his haircut was actually more popular in the 1930s. So, I mean, I guess it's possible on that someone would have a haircut that was a little ahead of its time, but that was kind of interesting that his haircut wasn't even popular in 1912. It wasn't until the 1930s. So years and years later that haircut became popular, and that he was wearing a backpack at one point that was not from that time. It was actually from the 1930s as well.
So he's a time traveler from the 1930s?
Possibly, or just that he had things from the future that he shouldn't have. And maybe they were trying to make him look that part, so they gave him these things, an old backpack, a haircut, but it wasn't exactly accurate to the right time.
Okay.
Then he says a couple things that were interesting. One thing he says that he mentions that he was fishing at Lake Wissota, which is a man-made lake and wasn't built until 1917. So 1912 is when the Titanic went down. Lake Wissota was a man-made lake made in 1917. So years again later is when that lake was made. So if he was fishing on it, it could be oversight on, the producers, the directors, and continuity people for the film. But it's also possible that these are little hints. And then the other one, he said that he plans to take Rose on a roller coaster at the Santa Monica Pier, which wasn't built until 1916. Just different things. And if you think about how things could have been different had she had jumped to her death, would it be possible that if that happened, that they would stop the boat, try to search for her? If that happens, then the boat misses the iceberg, the boat never crashes and sinks, and it could have changed the course of history.
I like that. I mean, I was looking at your notes for the show, and I was waiting for the whole purpose of what he needed to change. And I was like, where's he going with this? I could buy into that.
I mean, and he was like attached at her hip the entire time. He doesn't, for some reason, he wants her to stay alive. Maybe, like I said, because he just he wants to make sure that the Titanic does sink. And then at the end, he ends up actually, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Titanic, dying. But he does finish his mission, which is to make sure that she's safe and that the Titanic does sink.
If you're listening to this podcast, I'm guessing that you heard pop culture references about how the Titanic ends, if not historical references.
Hey, you never know. Maybe no one's seen the movie Titanic and they don't know that Jack dies at the end. But everyone knows the Titanic sinks at the end, hopefully. If they don't, they should really consider their education. So that was what I had for a theory. It's kind of an interesting one. It's a little different. It's outside of our normal realm of things, but I like the fact that it's adding a time traveler to something like the Titanic movie. We're going to move on to rumors and news. There's been so much news and rumors over the last week, just from Comic-Con alone. I should start by saying this. When we looked at how we were going to figure out how to get all this information from San Diego Comic-Con, we broke it down. And originally, so you were going to do the sci-fi stuff. Then our Dark Eagle was going to do comic stuff. And there was a ton of comic stuff that came out. And then I was going to do the leftovers. Whatever was left in there that didn't really fit in either of those categories, I was going to pick up. Since Dark Eagle's not here, we're going to wait on his stuff because I know he put a lot of time into his DC and Marvel and the comic stuff. So we'll wait for that till next time. But you can do your sci-fi stuff and I'll do the miscellaneous.
Okay. So I'll just start with Star Trek.
Oh, I can't wait for Star Trek. I'm so excited.
I'm kind of I was more giddy over Doctor Who. I put a lot more points just as a fanboy from the Doctor Who stuff. But Star Trek looks awesome. First of all, it does. It so does. I watched the trailer for the first time and I was like, is this another movie?
Yeah, I know. It looks like that grade, that quality.
Yeah. I was thinking back in my mind because I knew we had a conversation about something being released in IMAX movie theaters first, and I was are they doing this with Star Trek? And I remember it was Inhumans, which that trailer doesn't even live up to the Star Trek trailer.
I know, yeah,
it just doesn't. Got me so excited. It looks like summer film blockbuster quality. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least the first couple episodes.
I was just going to say, when I loved the original series and Next Generation, and I even liked Deep Space Nine, where a lot of people didn't, and I liked Voyager a lot, but Enterprise left me wanting more. This Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, looks like it has what I'm looking for, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll just start with what I have. I know it's going to drop this fall. It's going to be set 10 years before the original series.
Okay.
Some of the things that I thought were interesting, again, I apologize, there's not a ton. They talked about a lot, but most of it didn't grab me personally. There's this actress, Shaniqua Martin Green.
Yeah.
She's going to play Michael Burnham, a main character officer on the ship, whose surrogate father is Sarek, a Vulcan. who also happens to be Spock's father.
Oh.
She's going to be officially added to canon of Star Trek as Spock's half-sister.
That's cool.
And I think it's cool, too. In what they were talking about with canon is some people had already gone back and said, we can't find a sister for Spock. What's going on? And the creators of the show have assured us it's going to work, it's going to fit, and it's not going to mess with canon. It's not going to mess with anything that has already come before.
Already been done. Okay.
Yeah, anything that's come before, it's not going to mess with that.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty sure that the fans will be satisfied.
Yeah, when you're messing with someone's backstory, like Spock, you got to make sure that you do it right, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of people angry. A lot of people. So, yeah. I mean, Spock is going to be one of the most beloved characters in Star Trek alone.
He is, and his story stretches from the original series. He's also touched on in The Next Generation. I feel like he makes at least one appearance.
Yeah, I think you might be right in there. Yeah.
And we know he stretches into this new series of movies. So he's a beloved character who has a rich history in Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Not only him, but Ambassador Sarek. We know him as Spock's father. He makes an appearance in these new movies, albeit a short one. But he also played a bigger role than Spock did in The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Captain Kirk had a mind meld. There was a episode.
You mean Picard?
What did I say?
Kirk.
You're right. Captain Picard has a mind meld or something with Sarek, where it allows Picard to take on a lot of Sarek's emotions and memories. So where does this sister fit in? Would he have known about that? There's a lot for them to explain, but they're pretty confident that the fans will be happy.
Well, I hope
fans
so.
Will be sad.
Cool information.
Also, so this is along the same lines, the actor James Frain is going to play Sarek as a younger man. So we're going to get his backstory. We know he marries a human. We know Spock is half human, half Vulcan. But we're going to get to explore his backstory, see why did he marry this woman? Why did he become a surrogate father to this human girl? I'm excited to see that. You get to explore Spock's humanity as a Vulcan.
Mm-hmm. But
now you get to explore Sarek's. What's the Vulcan equivalent of humanity? Is it Vulcanity?
That's a good question. It would have to be Vulcanity. They're Vulcans. Yes. We're humans. Humanity. Vulcanity.
Yeah. Okay. So
you may have just invented a new word.
All those people that are learning Klingon, come to me. Learn Vulcan. So we're gonna get to explore Sarek's Vulcanity, which I'm excited to see. It's almost going to be that other half of Spock's story.
Cool.
Another point that I thought was very interesting was they made a point of stating that Klingons are going to show very heavily in this series, in that those who do speak Klingon will be happy because the Klingons will speak Klingon with English subtitles.
Oh, that's cool.
I have one last point, and it's not anything great. There's this guy, his name is Doug Jones. He's an actor who's going to play...
Oh, yeah, I know Doug Jones. I do, yeah. He was, I think, if it's the right guy I'm thinking of, he was in Pan's Labyrinth, and he was also in Falling Skies. Did you watch Falling Skies? Yeah, he was in Pan's Labyrinth. He was in Hellboy. He was in Falling Skies. Did you watch that TV show about aliens? He played an alien on that. He usually plays someone heavily in makeup.
I did not watch Falling Skies, but it makes sense that he has played aliens before because he plays an alien. He's going to play Lieutenant Saru. Let me make sure I have this right. Saru or Saru? I'm guessing Saru. So Doug Jones, who plays Lieutenant Saru, is a Kelpian. Kelpians, yeah, and a Kelpian has hooves.
Okay.
And you're going to get to see that on film. He was just saying that he must walk on set with high heels. to make everything right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and it's funny because he was talking about wearing the high heels because everyone was looking at his butt, who were the costume designers, and he's like, oh, you want to put padding down there, don't you? And it makes sense that he would know that if he's played all these aliens, but they were like, yeah, we should probably pad your butt. And he said, well, don't pad it. I mean, if we're showing off this alien character, maybe they don't have butts. Let's let this alien be who they are. And I just thought that was funny. He looks kind of funny, but he's gonna have hooves, and it kind of messed with the rest of his outfit, and he was able to make a joke out of it and not have to pad his butt, which I would be comfortable with. I wouldn't want to walk around with padding every episode, especially with all the makeup on my face.
I think he's used to playing characters that are probably very uncomfortable to play. Because, he's played a lot of stuff that is heavily makeup and costumed. That's cool. Doug Jones is a very good actor. So I'll start off because the last episode we talked about Valerian. I was excited to see it. I think Luke was excited to see it too. And you were too, right? I think?
I'm looking forward to it more now.
Well, I'm here to tell you it did terrible at the box office. It's not doing too well. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be terrible, but it didn't do as well. And Dunkirk has been beating everything. That seems like the best bang for your buck if you're going to see a movie, is Dunkirk. I mean, it's doing well at the box office. I haven't seen Valerian. I haven't seen Dunkirk. I haven't seen either of them, but Dunkirk has been beating out Valerian. The next thing I have is X-Files news. Did you like X-Files? Were you a fan of the X-Files show back in the day, and even when they had the resurgence just last year?
No, I did not watch X-Files previously, but Sarah, my wife, so we're going to call her really super friendly.
Super friendlier.
So my wife, super friendlier, had heard that the X-Files, the new season, was going to be really good. So we watched that together. I didn't mind it, but I also hadn't watched X-Files from the beginning.
I used to like X-Files back when it was on TV, back in the 90s. And then I watched some of the new stuff. I didn't really like it as much, so I never finished the newest season they came out with. But they actually released at San Diego Comic-Con that they're coming out with a new audiobook for the X-Files called X-Files Cold Cases. And it's going to kind of go through the time that was in between the two. So the original 90s series of X-Files and then the newer one that just came out like last year or whatever. It's going to kind of fill in some of the gaps in there. And David Duchovny was actually at Comic-Con to promote that book. He announced that there's actually going to be a second book in the series coming, and it's going to be called X-Files Stolen Lives. So the one that just was released is called X-Files Cold Cases, and the one that's coming is called X-Files Stolen Lives. I don't know if they're going to do another one. It sounds like maybe that they possibly could do a few in this to kind of bridge the gap between the two shows. Then,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be good for X-Files fans. I'm not a big enough X-Files fan to go and get into the books or any of that, but if you are, they're available. And then in Stranger Things news, which I am a Stranger Things fan, they released a new trailer. I don't know if you got the chance to see it. It was released at Comic-Con. This trailer was awesomely dark. It was so cool. Seeing the whole cast of characters back and still keeping that same 80s theme. It looked great, and really looking forward to that. And that's coming to Netflix. It's a Netflix original, so you have to have Netflix to watch it. And it's slated to be released on Halloween. So did you get a chance to watch that?
I did.
That's it? I did, and you got nothing else to say?
You know what would be really cool is I was looking at that trailer thinking, gosh, that big alien looks like a Cloverfield alien. If they come out and say that Stranger Things is part of the Cloverfield universe, that would be cool.
Oh, man. We might have to do a breakdown on that trailer because I don't think that's an alien.
Well, what do you think it is?
I think it's making a pathway from the dimension that it lives in to the dimension that everyone else is in, like a tunnel.
Huh.
Go ahead and watch it again. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think you see it move. I think you just see these branches branching out.
Okay.
And it looks to me like a solid structure. Have you ever seen those ants or bees that make like a nest that is almost like paper looking and or dirt looking, and it comes up out of the ground and it's like a tunnel almost, or tube?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the feel I got from when I saw that. And it's just a quick scene, but I got the feeling like it was making a pathway from its dimension to this dimension. And I think, what's the kid's name that was taken in the first one? And they work the whole season to get him back. I think he's the only one that can see.
Who cares?
Yeah, I think he's the only one that can see it.
What was his name?
I can't remember that. Will. That is just one of my theories. When I saw it, that's what I was thinking. You could be right. It could be a big alien, but go back and watch it. Maybe we should do a video on that. Break down that trailer.
So here's my other thing on the trailer. I feel like they didn't do enough of a cliffhanger for 11 at the end. When she came into the trailer, she was in the Upside Down, if I remember right.
Well, at the end of season 1, we don't know where she is, right? She explodes into oblivion, right? It takes out that creature, the Demogorgon.
What was the name of the cop? Sheriff, whatever his face is.
Oh, Jim Hopper. Is it Hopper or Hooper?
Hopper.
But
from what I remember of the trailer is the sheriff was leaving her Eggos. And I didn't think he was leaving Eggos in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
So when Sheriff Hopper leaves the Eggos, they're in an Earth setting. I don't think they're in the Upside Down, but when you're looking in the trailer, it feels like 11 is in the Upside Down. And I thought Hopper must have known where she was at the end of season 1, but maybe not. Maybe he was just doing it because it was a ritual thing for him. Like, I don't know.
We'll have to see. But I thought it was a cool looking trailer. It made me excited. And to me, it looked like a dark. I mean, the first season was pretty dark, but this looked darker to me. We'll have to wait and see if it really is, but that's what the feel I got.
One thing I do not care about the upcoming season from that trailer, drives me insane that they put in the trailer, is whatever happens between the older sister and the boyfriend with the 80s hair, who looks like John Ralphio from Community. Not Community.
You don't care, huh?
I do not care.
Nancy was her name. What was his name? I don't remember what his name was. Steve. His name was Steve.
Okay.
Nancy and Steve. Yeah.
Do not show me any of that relationship in my trailer. Leave that out. Why are you showing me that? I don't care if they're fighting. That's fine. Put in filler episodes or whatever. But don't show me in the trailer. I don't care about them. Really don't.
There's some people that must care about it because they were putting stuff in there a little bit. They were teasing that. The love story. You have to have a love story in every good movie, right? Good show. Well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to that a lot. So next I had Ready Player One. That trailer was released at Comic-Con as well. It looks awesome. I think I talked earlier and said that we made a video for it. If you want to know more about what me and Superfriendly think about it, go check that out on YouTube. But it looks awesome. Great music, really cool vibe that you get from the trailer. Just can't wait for that movie. I mean, besides Star Wars is number one. It always will be for me. Coming out in December, Last Jedi. I'm looking forward to March 2018 so I can see Ready Player One. What do you think about that Ready Player One trailer?
I'm looking forward to seeing it as well. As excited as I was during our trailer review and talking about it, I have tempered expectations. The stacks look like what I think the stacks should look like, and I know that's because it's on the cover of the book. I don't want to go into this movie thinking it's going to be just like the book. I already know it's not, especially seeing the Iron Giant, although that was awesome. I was looking forward to the Ender's Game movie for over a year. I've read every single book multiple times that has been printed about the Ender series, and I could not wait for that movie, and I could not have been let down more. So I have tempered my expectations for what Ready Player One, but I will see it, if not opening night, then very soon after opening night. I can't wait.
Someday we should do an episode just on Ender's Game, because I haven't read as much as you have, but I actually thought they did a decent job with the movie. That's, I guess, a different topic for another time. Next, for rumors and news, Blade Runner. Did you ever see the first Blade Runner?
I have not.
No. It was good. I liked it. Harrison Ford, anything with Harrison Ford, I like. They had a brand new trailer released. This new movie's going to be called Blade Runner 2049. I thought it looked really good. They were somehow able to capture that same original feel that the first movie had in this trailer. It has a pretty great cast. Harrison Ford, Ryan Gosling, Jared Leto, Dave Bautista. Looks really cool, really good. I have no idea what it's going to be rated. We'll have to wait and see where that comes out. The first movie was rated R. I actually saw it on TV, I think. So it was an edited version. We'll have to wait and see how this one comes out. Looks good, though, from the trailer. I'm hoping they're able to do it justice. And then, are you a Arrested Development fan? I know there's usually people are or they are not.
I like it. I could not get into the last season that they aired only on Netflix. I heard it was really good. I just could, and I love Terry Crews, but I couldn't get into it.
I liked the first couple episodes of Arrested Development that I'd seen, but my wife really wasn't into it, so we never end up watching it. But I have friends that love Arrested Development, and they can't get enough. So they're making a season 5, and they announced at Comic-Con that it's going to be a murder mystery, which is a little bit different for that genre, I believe, or that story. But the season 5 is going to be a murder mystery, and that's looking to be released on Netflix sometime in 2018. That's now a Netflix exclusive title, so you can only get it on Netflix. Next, I had Cloverfield. You're a Cloverfield guy? I think you are. You mentioned that you thought it'd be cool if they tied in Stranger Things with Cloverfield.
Yeah.
They've been working on a third movie set in the Cloverfield universe. So if you don't know, the first movie, Cloverfield, was just Cloverfield. And then it was a monster movie. The second one in that universe was called, what was it called?
10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane. So that movie was set in the same universe. And then they announced that they're going to come out with a third movie in that Cloverfield universe. It was supposed to come out October 27th, 2017. So really, like right around the corner. They announced that they pushed it back to February 2nd, 2018. So this can be a scary thing for a movie like this. They keep pushing it back because this is not the first time they pushed it back. Its original release date was February 24th, 2017. So if you go to that original release date, they've almost pushed it back a full year. I don't know if it needed reshoots or rewrites or what, but it keeps getting pushed back. But the working title right now is God Particle. It's just a working title. They haven't even said if that's going to be the official release title. So it keeps getting pushed back. But it seems like it's coming. Third movie in the Cloverfield universe. So sometime in 2018 now. Then in other news, and this news actually got me really excited. Stargate. I got a Stargate story.
Wait a second. Can I ask you first? Was James... No. Who's the guy who played Ultron and he was in the Blacklist?
Yeah, James Spader.
Yeah. James Spader. Was he in the original Stargate movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. He looks so different.
Yeah, well, he was a lot younger. Yeah, he was in the original Stargate movie. I liked that original Stargate movie. I thought it was really good. It was different. It was cool. My wife and I will often get into watching different TV series, especially ones that have gone and passed, so that we can just binge through a bunch of them, and we don't have to worry about commercials or anything. We get them on Netflix and stuff. So we watched the Stargate film, and we're like, hey, let's watch this TV series. There was a ton of them at the time. So we decided to start watching Stargate 1, SG-1, not knowing that the first episode, I guess, was originally to be released on like HBO or something like that. So when we went to watch it, the first episode had full nudity. And we didn't expect that at all. It was going along pretty normal. And then all of a sudden, it was like full nudity. And my wife freaked out. And she's like, we're not watching that anymore. I found out later, and I'm like, I don't understand. I checked the rating on it. It said it was like TV 14 or something like that. I don't know what happened. So I found out later that what happened was that they had made the first episode for HBO or Starz or one of those premium channels, and they kind of like pulled out all the stops. But then it ended up getting picked up by some other channel. I can't remember what channel. And they had to like cut it back. The rest of it was very PG, but just that first episode, that one that we happened to watch, was not. And we haven't gone back since. But it was, yeah. So there was announced at Comic-Con that there's going to be a new Stargate series, and it's in the works. They kind of released a short little teaser trailer for it, and it's going to be called Stargate Origins. And right now, it's slated for a 10-episode run of webisodes. So not even on TV. It's going to be an internet thing that you can get on webisodes. That might, all our Stargate fans might be asking, how are they going to get these Stargate webisodes for Stargate Origins? This is interesting to me. They're coming out with a digital platform called Stargate Command. And it's going to provide a comprehensive collection of new and old Stargate content, including a variety of assets, episodes, and community experiences and behind the scenes looks at Stargate Origins. They're basically what I kind of summed this down to, and I could be totally off, but to me it sounds like they're coming out with a Netflix strictly for Stargate. At first I was like, I don't know that I'd want to pay for something different. Maybe it's going to be free, I don't know. But I don't know that I'd want to pay for something that's just going to be Stargate. But I'm also not the biggest Stargate fan. But if you stuck Star Wars on that, I'd be all over it. I would pay extra to have just Star Wars content. Could you imagine if they released their own platform, their own digital platform, Star Wars did, and it just had content that you could only get on that platform and new content? And maybe that was the only way you could watch like Rebels or something like that. And then on there, if you pay for the monthly subscription, you're also getting all the old Clone Wars and you get all the trilogies. Wouldn't you pay for that? I don't know how much I'd pay, but I think I'd pay for it.
I would pay for it too, but
so that made me excited in a way that maybe Stargate, even though I'm not super excited about Stargate, maybe in a way this could be kickstarting a new idea in how we get our entertainment. I'm gonna have the Star Wars app, and I'm gonna have the Star Trek app, and I'm gonna have the Stargate app, or whatever is our interest, the Doctor Who app, where I can get all my Doctor Who episodes that way. Instead of having to have cable and all these different things, I can just have the shows that I actually like. And it's interesting that Stargate is the one that's kind of pioneering this idea, or as far as I know, it's the first I've heard of doing it, because Stargate seems like it has a smaller fan base than something like a Star Trek or a Star Wars or Doctor Who even. But I'm interested to see how it works.
Well, branching off of that, I have heard the idea, and I buy into this theory, that even movie theaters could start to fall by the wayside. Mm-hmm. And what they might do is release almost like pay-per-view, where instead of having to go to a movie theater, you can pay $50 to watch a new movie. So you have some friends over, you pay per view to watch the new Star Wars at your house, at your home theater. Or instead of direct to DVD movies, that's what they do. And the really big blockbusters, they still do at theaters. That is nothing I've ever heard officially, but I could see that happening, and I would do that.
It would be interesting. It would be neat to get all your friends together and watch a movie that's in the theaters or just released like that. I would probably pay even a slight premium to be able to do that, because I don't have to go out and I can watch it in my house. But the problem is, I think certain movies, they lose something if you're not seeing them in the theater. I like when Star Wars comes out, going and sitting in a theater of ravenous Star Wars fans and hearing them cheer every time you see a character like Chewbacca or Luke and stuff like that. You get this feeling that you don't get sitting watching it in your TV room. That's just me. There is, to some extent, that would be a good way of doing it, where you can get all your friends together. Maybe it's expensive, but you get 10 of your friends to split it with you, that it's affordable. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Yeah, that's the way it was proposed to me. And I agree. There are some blockbusters that I would love to see in the theaters. Star Wars Episode 7, when it opened up and the Star Destroyer creeped across your screen with the shadow on it, blacked out by Jakku, I can still see that. I remember seeing it for the first time, and I love that shot. I was actually thinking about it last night. Superfriendly and I were out on the porch. I was looking up at the stars thinking, how cool would it be if a Star Destroyer just kind of blocked out my view of some of these stars?
A Star Destroyer would be okay, but not the Death Star. That would be bad news.
Not the Death Star.
Bad news bears. All right. And then I have a little bit more Stargate news. They actually, it was announced by MGM, who I guess owns the rights to Stargate, that there had been rumors going around that they were going to be rebooting the series with a trilogy of movies. But upon further review, they decided to scrap that idea. So as far as anytime soon, it sounds like we're not going to get any new Stargate movies, just a show called Stargate Origins. But I guess that idea had been kicked around. It's funny when they reboot movies like that. I mean, the movie, like you said, it had James Spader in it. And it also had Kurt Russell in it. You know, like those are pretty big names to be like, we're going to redo these. But it doesn't sound like they're going to. And then my last bit of news comes from Netflix. Bright. Have you seen the trailer for Bright?
I have not.
You haven't? Oh, man, you got to check that out. So they showed this trailer, which stars Will Smith, which I'm not a big Will Smith fan. I think I mentioned that in the last episode. I'm not a big Will Smith fan, but this looks like an interesting take. It's a modern world where elves, humans, and orcs are all just trying to get along. But all heck breaks loose when a magic wand is discovered that will grant anyone who has it their wishes. So sounds goofy and like light and fun and like comedy, but it is anything but that. It is a dark, gritty, action-packed movie or show, not movie. It looked kind of interesting, and it's slated for release on Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive, and it's going to be coming in December of 2017. So I would say check out Bright, super friendly.
Maybe it should be named Dark.
Yeah, it looks really cool, like super cool. And the way, like when I read that, it sounds like I said, like goofy Disney, like light and comical. It's not that at all, though. It's like really dark looking, and these elves and these orcs look really grizzled and stuff, and it's pretty cool. So I thought it looked pretty interesting. We'll see how it does.
I will check out that Bright trailer. It sounds good.
So that's all I had. I know you have one more thing, something with Doctor Who.
Lastly, from San Diego Comic-Con, I watched the Doctor Who panel, and I think Luke mentioned this last week, that they cast the first female Doctor Who. But I wanted to bring out some things that they said was that there's been no fan backlash, not that they were expecting any, and they made it very clear that if there was any fan backlash, that they didn't care. But there was no fan backlash over this casting of the female Doctor Who. In fact, from what they can tell in their polling, there has been an 80% approval of the casting. So not only approval of having a female doctor, but also just 80% approval of the casting of Jodie Whittaker as the first female Doctor Who. The creation of a female Doctor Who came from having a successful female master in Missy.
I don't know what any of that means, but yeah.
So the master is the Doctor Who's Joker, the rival.
Okay.
Missy came into play first with Peter Capaldi, who...
Peter Capaldi's the last one?
He is the previous Doctor.
He's the 12th Doctor, is that what he is?
Mm-hmm. And she's fantastic. She's just great. And they had so much success with Missy as a female master that they were able to do this and pull the trigger. And I think it's going to work out. They're going to be really successful. Some other tidbits when asked who he wanted the 12th Doctor to be, or who he thought the 12th Doctor was.
Wouldn't this be the 13th Doctor?
Right. So Peter Capaldi was asked about his character, the 12th Doctor, who he thought that character was. So the character he played. And he said that he thought the 12th Doctor was alien, which is great. So what he hopes he added to the role, and I think he did, was we see the Doctors as humans. They don't take on any other alien form. He wanted to make his character alien in the way he acted, felt, and spoke. And I do feel like he did that. That's the mark he wanted to make on his character, and I thought he did. And I'm glad he said that. There is a debate among Doctor Who fans as to what we call the Doctor. What is his name? Is it the Doctor, or is it Doctor Who? And writer Stephen Moffat, who's leaving the show, he is also a writer for Sherlock on the BBC.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've heard that's good.
It is. It's very good. And he's pretty important to the show, or at least he was. But he has weighed in. We should call the Doctor Doctor Who, not the Doctor.
He's Doctor Who.
He is Doctor Who. He made some references, some I didn't get, but one was he signs his name Dr. W. And he's kind of put his final nail in the coffin. He said it is Doctor Who. Doctor is not his first name. He did say that, but he did say his name is Doctor Who. He ended by saying, what would Doctor Who continuity be without blatant and unresolvable contradictions? So he finished by saying, "This is what it is. But if you want to call him the Doctor, that's okay. You have that right because of conflict and continuity," which I loved. Lastly, a fan asked Moffat who his favorite Doctor is, and he completely trolled fans by saying, "Doctor Who."
Yeah, that is a troll. I'm just looking. I just pulled up
which I love.
The Wikipedia for Doctor Who. Doctor Who. The Doctor. Doctor Who. It's just a Wikipedia of all the Doctors, basically. Man, I had no idea that this show has been going on for so long. Like the original start date for the show was 1963. That's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? It started out as a science fiction and history show. So they would take turns. One story arc, and it would be a few episodes long. One story arc would be a science-y, futuristic learning experience, and the next would be history, and they'd do a story arc about the Mayas, and it would be almost mini-series. And
I'm just looking
really
at some of the older Doctors, like the Doctors that were doing this in the 60s and the 70s, and they lasted a lot longer. Man, there was a Doctor in 70s. He went from 74 to 81. He did 7 series. I'm guessing series is like a seasons.
Yeah, and that's Tom Baker, right?
Tom Baker, yeah.
So what's interesting about him, he's a fan favorite Doctor. And I'm not sure if you know this, but if you watched Rebels season 3, this past season was season 3?
Yeah, I've watched all the Rebels. Yep.
Okay, so season 3, he is the voice of the Bendu.
Oh, really? I love that they added the Bendu. That was so cool. That was something that was from old canon that they made canon again. I actually had a character in the MMO game that came out, Star Wars: The Old Republic, named Dai Bendu, which is Dai Bendu, which goes back to the original canon. So I thought that was really cool that they brought that back and brought the Bendu in. But anyways, that's digressing. So we're talking about Doctor Who.
Actually, that's all I had.
Have you watched the old ones, like going back to the 60s and stuff?
I've watched some of them. There are actual lost Doctor Who episodes.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if they're unrecoverable or whatever, but there are missing episodes of Doctor Who.
Wow, that's funny that can happen. Like they filmed the whole TV show and they lost it. I mean, I know it's been 40, 50 years, but still, it's kind of funny. It's just interesting. I'm looking through this list. Like, there's a guy, Paul McGann. He was the 8th Doctor. He only did 2 episodes. That was it. He was only the Doctor for 2 episodes.
Okay, so that was the 90s, right? So they were doing.
It was 96. Yeah.
I don't know much about that, but they were trying to do a revival. It didn't really work out, and I feel like there was a movie in between the 80s and 2000s as well. But when they revived with the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston,
yeah,
it set in motion the bridge. They hinted at it with Eccleston and then Tennant and Matt Smith, and then they finally showed really what happened between this 8th Doctor and the 9th, because there's a huge shift, things that aren't in the new Doctor Who's, and we find out why.
Yeah, so the one I watched was Christopher Eccleston. It was the first episode of that one from 2005.
Yeah, and that was a rough episode, even just the video quality, because I have it on DVD and the video quality is pretty poor.
Yeah,
you got to stick with it. I mean,
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to plan to. It was my wife, actually, because we always watch a lot of stuff together, and I don't really have. I told her I got to find a show that I watch on my own, because if she's not ready to watch something, it ends up being, oh, you got to wait. So she goes, well, why don't you watch Doctor Who on your own? I have no interest in watching that whatsoever. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. But what will happen is what happens with every other show that we watch is I'll start watching it by myself, then she'll catch a little bit of it, and then she'll start paying more attention, and then all of a sudden she's sucked in.
That happens with us, too. It happened with Sarah with Doctor Who. And for me, don't tell her I said this, but it kind of happened with The Good Wife, because she watches it so much that I'm actually interested in it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Maybe we should have a little section in the show just for you to talk about The Good Wife.
We should.
There might be some. We might have some fans that like The Good Wife.
We might have some fans that like The Good Wife. Yeah, we might have to get her in there. I do want to do a video with Sarah.
Go ahead. We should. We need more videos. So is that all you got?
That is all I have.
So movie trailers that we're looking forward to seeing once they come out. Ready Player One, obviously. That's the one I picked. Looks awesome. Can't wait. What do you have?
I'm not excited to see this movie at all. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to see it when it comes out on DVD. But I saw the trailer for the Lego Ninjago movie, going from the Lego movie to the Lego Batman movie, and now to this Lego Ninjago trailer. I'm done with Lego movies. I'm done with sequels. And I'm done with movie universes. Except Star Wars, the MCU, the Pixar movies, because of the Pixar theory. That's awesome. And whatever you call the Cloverfield movies.
The Cloverfield movies, that's what you call them. Wait, so that means on your list is not DC. Does that mean you're done with DC movies? Should we wait to discuss this next time with Luke?
We can wait to discuss it next time, but I guess all I'm going to say is I have a list of 4 things that I just named, and those were the ones that I care about.
That's interesting. You didn't have Indiana Jones on there?
Well, they're not making new ones. Like, I love the Rocky series.
They just made one of those.
Well, they're not making another one. Okay, I'm going to add the Rocky series to my list. That can be a universe.
Okay. I think you got to make that's a small universe you got there. You don't have Star Trek in there.
Nope.
Wow. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even know that we can be friends anymore.
It's just...
How can you remove... I love Star Trek.
I just did a whole part about the Star Trek TV show. I
know you did. You did.
There are ones that are super important to me, and I just... Things didn't fall off the list. You know what else I didn't put on the list? Pirates of the Caribbean. Ugh.
Oh, I understand why you didn't put that one on there. With all that being said, I saw the Lego Ninjago movie trailer as well, and it actually looked funny. Like, I was laughing. It could have just been, sometimes they just put all the funny stuff in the trailer, but it had me cracking up a little bit. So I'm kind of curious about it. I'm not going to go see it in the theaters. There's no way. But if I see it when it comes out.
Well, you know what else had all the funny parts in the trailer was Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah, I did not like that movie.
Hopefully they don't make that one a universe.
Yeah. Okay. No. That was our show for the week. If you like this week's show, follow us. We're going to have these coming out every so often, and we really hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed making it. We really have a blast making these episodes, talking about all the geeky stuff that we just love. Next week we're going to be back, hopefully, and so will Dark Eagle if he doesn't stay on vacation forever. And also, you probably noticed as the show started, we get some new music. That is actually original music just for us. Our friend Mr. Hugs made that, and he's an incredibly cool and talented guy. So if you liked our intro music, check him out on Bandcamp. His name is Mr. Hugs, and if you go to mrhugs.bandcamp.com, you can see all the music that he has out. Give him some love. He's awesome, and he just did that because he's our friend, and he's a cool guy. So we thank him for that. Graciously, we thank him. Until next time, put it in the pizza.
I like sand. I hate Hayden Christensen. He's coarse, and he gets everywhere.
Oh, boy.
For more from the Geeks, please check out Geek-Cetera.com. This podcast was brought to you by the Geek-Cetera team. Now this is podcasting.